Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Andana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Muna Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvartikacharya Asatara Satashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Gidi Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai, Mathura Dhama Ki Jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai, Gangamaya Jamuna Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskachade Satarane Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitascha Panchkalpa Chibishchaki Bisnabhyavata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it is April 10th, 2023 in Hillsborough, North Carolina, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 44, Text 17. Evam Prabhasamanashu Strishu Yogeshvaro Harihi Shatrum Hantum Manaschakre Bhagavan Bharatarshaba. Please chant. Shatrum Hantum Manaschakre Strishu Yogeshvaro Harihi Shatrum Hantum Manaschakre Bhagavan Bharatarshaba Evam Prabhasamanashu Srishu Yogeshvaro Harihi Shatrum Hantum Manaschakre Bhagavan Bharatarshaba Evam Prabhasamanashu Srishu Yogeshvaro Harihi Shastrum Hantum Manaschakre Bhagavan Bharatarshaba. By the way, I'd really like to thank Jadharani for getting the paintings back in the temple room. And we get to see our artist Krishna Priya's two beautiful works of art there, the Rasa Leela and Radha and Krishna there. And we have Madhava Priya's Krishna Balaram and Cowherd Boys back. So thank you. Jai. Haribo. Thank you so much. Evam, in this manner, Prabhashamanasu, while they were speaking, you notice the word bhasha. Bhasha means language or speaking. Strishu, the women, Yoga Ishwaraha, the master of all mystic power. Harihi, Lord Krishna, Shatrum, his enemy, Hantum, to kill, Manaha Chakre, made up his mind, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Bharata Rishabha, O hero of the Bharatas. Rishabha means the best, the chief. Look at this interesting word, Mana Chakre. What is a chakra? A wheel, right? So what do you think a Mana Chakra is? The wheel of the mind, which here is being translated as made up his mind. But the wheel of the mind, it's something that's turning. Yeah? Okay, BBT translation. Sukadev Goswami continued. As the women spoke thus, O hero of the Bharatas, Lord Krishna, the master of all mystic power, made up his mind to kill his opponent. It's like we have this Hari Shatrum Hantum Mana Chakre. So Hari, Shatrum Hantum, to kill his enemy. Mana Chakra, it's like the mind turned to that. Like we say that? My mind turns to thoughts of this. So his mind turned, the wheel of his mind turned to the killing of his enemy. So let's look at Srila Prabhupada's translation for this in Krishna book. When Lord Krishna, the super soul of every living being. So Prabhupada, what Sanskrit is Prabhupada translating as super soul? Yogeshwar. When Lord Krishna, the super soul of every living being, understood that the ladies in the assembly were anxious for him, he decided not to continue wrestling, but to kill the wrestlers immediately. So why do you think Prabhupada's translating Yogeshwar as super soul? Yeah, and he could hear them talking. And so Krishna's there in the wrestling place, wrestling with Chanura. It's not that the ladies were like right next to him, and I'm sure wrestling is a little noisy. Yes, I would imagine wrestling is a little noisy. So how could he hear what they were saying in the stands, in the bleachers, whatever it was? Because he's Yogeshwar, because he's a master of all mystic power, which implies also that he is the super soul. Okay, so let's. I'm just going to read Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, although Sanatan also has one. So this is Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's. Although the ladies were talking among themselves, Krishna, being the best of yogis, Yogeshwaro Hari, could hear it. He decided to kill Chanura in order to keep these ladies, who were very much attached to him, from suffering. Evam prabhasamana shu srisu yogeshwaro hari shatrum hantum manaschakre bhagavan bharatarshava. Sukadev Goswami continued, as the women spoke thus, O hero of the Bharatas, Lord Krishna, the master of all mystic power, made up his mind to kill his opponent. So I thought we'd look a little bit at Krishna's mind. Krishna's mind and our minds, and the relationship that Krishna's mind has between himself and his devotees. So we all talk to Krishna every day. Yes? Everybody here who talks to Krishna every day? Me. Yes? So we have our prayers that we say every day. We have our standard prayers, which hopefully are not just unthinking, rote sounds coming out of our mouth. It always amuses me that in most temples people recite the English to the Guru Vandana. Srila Prabhupada introduced Guru Puja, daily Guru Puja, in the summer of 1974. And at one point, Prabhupada would come in from his morning walk, he'd greet the deities, and then he'd sit on the Vyasasana, and then he's introduced that we would do worship of him at that time. It hadn't been done before. And then after that, he would give the class. So one time, soon after it was introduced, when he was giving the class, he asked some of the devotees, do you know what this prayer is you just said? And nobody knew. Prabhupada said you should know. And so it became an institutionalized thing to say the translation. Some places say it before Guru Puja, some places say it after. One of the funniest things for me was being in New Zealand, which is obviously an English-speaking country, at an ISKCON temple where they said the translation in Hindi. I found that quite amusing. But Prabhupada wasn't just talking about the Guru Vandana. That's what I find amusing. He was talking about everything. He was saying that we should always know the meaning of what we're saying, that we shouldn't pray like a parrot. Right, like I one time had one of my Gurukul students, one of my young Gurukul students, say to me, Mother Urmila, why do we offer our obeisances to groceries every day? Vande groceries. So, so the point is that we should, when we're talking to Krishna, we should be actually not just that our mouths are moving, but we actually should understand what we're saying, and we should be speaking from the heart. And of course, chanting Hare Krishna, chanting Kirtan, chanting our japa is also having a conversation with Krishna. And we're supposed to be having some kind of conversation going on with Krishna frequently or even always. Yes? Right? And this is important. This is important even if we're talking about Krishna. The ladies were not talking to Krishna in this instance. They were talking about Krishna. Oh, Krishna did this in Vrindavan and this in Vrindavan, and the gopis were like this and this was like this. But Krishna hears that. Just like we're all interested, we're all very interested to know when people are talking about us isn't it? Yes. And just like if you're in a very crowded place with many conversations going on, you know that sound of many, many people talking together where you can't make out specific words? There's a certain sound of like crowds of people talking. There's kind of a, that you, but if someone says your name, you can hear it. Have you noticed this? Even if you're not able to discern specific words in this big conversation, when your name is spoken, immediately it jumps out at you from this general buzz of noise. We're very interested in what people have to say about us. What were they saying about me? What were they saying? It's the most interesting thing to us. I'm much, much, much more interested in what people are saying about me than I am in, what the political leaders are talking about or what natural disaster is happening, or isn't that a fact? Yeah. So Krishna is also like that. But he's responsive. Why should we be careful of what we're saying to him? Because he's responsive. Here he's responding. His turning mind, when he hears these ladies, he's like, oh, they're suffering. And his mind turns to, I better take care of this demon right away. So I wanted to look at how Krishna responds to his devotees and how the devotees respond to Krishna, and then look at how we can use that knowledge in our life. So the Lord definitely is responding to his devotees. I mean, he's even responding to non-devotees who pray to him, even if they're not very devoted to him. And he modifies his actions accordingly. Prabhupada talks about how sometimes Krishna is confused when the householder is praying, please protect my possessions, and the thief is praying, please let me get in this house to steal. Right? You've heard Prabhupada say that? The thief is praying, Lord, please let me get in this house and steal something tonight. And the owner of the house, maybe they're out of town, and they're like, God, please protect my house while I'm out of town. And Krishna doesn't know what to do. There was a famous song when I was young about war and how, the different sides all say, God's on my side. Right? Everybody goes to war, and each side is praying, please let us be victorious. And Krishna's like, whose prayer do I answer, and in which way do I answer it? So I wanted to think about some times when Krishna modified his behavior, when his mana chakra, the wheel of his mind, changed to accommodate prayers. Somebody. I have my own little list here, of course, but if you can think of something. I hadn't even thought. I always like it when people think of things I haven't thought of. So Mother Krishna Priya is saying that when Prahlad Maharaj prayed to Nrsimhadev, he gave up his anger, right? That even Lakshmi Devi couldn't go near him. But as soon as he prayed, he changed his mind. By the way, the mind of the Lord is normally compared to what? The moon. Bhagavatam 2:134. His mind is the moon, the reservoir of all changes. Of course, the moon is actually always the same, but it appears changing. All right, where else did Krishna modify his behavior and his mood according to the prayers of the devotees? Okay, Mother Krishna Priya is talking about in the Ras Leela, when Krishna had gone and the gopis were crying, and once they came to the Gopi Gita and he was hearing these wonderful prayers, he came back. Okay, somebody else. I mean, we ought to know this, right? We would like to think that our talking to Krishna has some meaning, yes? If he doesn't care what we say and nothing changes, what is the point of talking to him? You ever talked to somebody that was like a wall? Anybody ever had that? You're talking to someone, you feel like you're just talking to the sky. Like whatever you say, it doesn't matter what you say. So Krishna's not like this. What are some other instances? Draupadi. So when Draupadi was being disrobed, and also when when they couldn't feed the 60,000 disciples of Durvasa Muni. Some places it says 10,000, some places 60,000. That's a lot of disciples, even if it's 10,000. Be traveling with them and expect people to feed you. Gajendra. Yes. Queen Kunti. Yes. Uttara. Save my child. Some more. Oh. Mm. Some other Christian preachers talking about Raghunath Das Goswami after Mahaprabhu sent him home and told him not to be crazy, but he was praying like that. Yes. I was also thinking Mahaprabhu's Leela. What about Mahaprabhu seeing King Prataparudra? The only reason that Mahaprabhu saw King Prataparudra was that all the devotees were asking him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was asking him, Lord Nityananda was asking him, and they kept nagging him, really. they were pestering him over and over and over again. And Mahaprabhu sometimes would get kind of annoyed with them. But still. What a, to pray. With Gopal. Yes, and the way he would pray to Gopal. Yes. Oh, what about Sakshi Gopal? What Sakshi Gopal? And the Brahmana who's like, hey, I'm in trouble. The older Brahman's word is going to be violated. That's a real in with Krishna. He definitely responds to that one. Hey, your devotees made a promise that may be broken if you don't do something. And the Lord sometimes gets annoyed with the devotees for that. Like when Arjuna vows to kill Jayadratha without consulting with Krishna, and Krishna's like, now I have to uphold your vow, but you shouldn't have made that vow. And he says this to Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva too about giving benedictions to the demons. He says, you give these benedictions that then I have to uphold. You shouldn't be giving these benedictions. It puts me in a funny situation. So especially the Krishna likes to uphold the vows of the devotees. And think of that in terms of the vows that we make. Right? We make our vows, and Krishna is responsive to that. He helps us to maintain those vows. I was thinking about Lord Shiva praying for the life of Banasura in that battle. Kali's wives praying that Kali not be killed. And very similar to what's happening in today's verse, Lord Brahma praying for Lord Varaha to kill Hiranyaka. He's like, my Lord, it's getting late. His power is going to increase, and right now is the right time. It's the astrological victory time. Stop fooling around. Stop. Because Krishna's enjoying fighting with Chanura. He's having fun. You follow? He's enjoying it, and he knows he's going to kill him. He's not like in some kind of big hurry. He's having a good time. But he's understanding that the ladies are starting to become worried. Okay, let me kill him. Just like Prabhupada talks about that Krishna and the cowherd boys, they're having so much fun playing that they're not eating. You know, they have all these lunches that their mothers packed in the morning, but they're not eating. And so some demon comes and interrupts their playing. And then, oh yeah, let's have something to eat. I was also really thinking a lot about the dealings with Ashvatthama, that how Krishna was responding. Because at first Krishna says to Arjuna, just kill him. And then Draupadi says, we can't kill him. He's the son of our teacher. He's born a Brahmana. And Yudhisthira says, I agree with Draupadi. And Nakul and Sahadev says, I agree with Draupadi. And Bhima's like, I agree with Krishna. Just kill him. And then Krishna turns to Arjuna and says, you got to take care of everybody. He says, you've got to have a solution that satisfies me and Bhima and Draupadi and Yudhisthira and Nakul and Sahadev and keeps your promise to Draupadi that you were going to kill him. And you've got to take care of all of that. You can't, Arjuna couldn't say, well, Krishna, you just said to kill him. I'm just going to kill him. So Krishna does respond. If Krishna didn't respond, what would be the use of talking to him? Now, of course, Krishna doesn't always respond exactly the way we want and exactly when we want. He is the master. Such is true even when we're dealing with a superior in this world, isn't it? We can go to our superior and we can make a petition. And if they never listen, then that's very frustrating. But if they always listen, that's also frustrating. We actually end up feeling unprotected, yeah? Like if parents always do whatever their children want, the children actually feel unprotected. They feel that nobody's taking care of them, that no one's in charge, that they can just manipulate them. So we don't want that the Lord just does whatever we say. And also that would be chaotic because, again, we have contradictory desires. I'm going to pray to the Lord to steal. You're going to pray to the Lord to protect. And how is he going to take care of everything? And then we get disappointed. God won't do what I want. When I was running the school here years ago, this is a true story. I am not making this up. I am not exaggerating. This actually happened. So one afternoon after school, one mother of one of my high school students, the 15-year-old girl, came to see me and said, the reason I'm sending my child to your school is for bhakti. I don't care about the academics. I want her to do a lot of temple service after school. So I'd like it if you would not require any homework for her. And I said, I can't do that. I'm giving her a high school diploma. She has to complete certain work. And, I can't just make a mockery of it for her. She has to do the work. So that this mother was not very happy with me. And 1 hour later, no joke, 1 hour later, the father of one of the other students, another 15-year-old girl in the same class, came to me and said, Mother Urmila, my daughter doesn't have enough homework. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, she's able to go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. You really need to give her more homework. And I said, I'm not going to give extra homework just for her. So we have a standard course, and this is what's done. And so after these two, and neither parent was happy with me. They were both upset with me. And afterwards, I thought people sometimes say, you should let the parents run the school. And I would always say, well, which parents? The one who wants no homework or the one who wants the kid to be doing homework until midnight? So if Krishna let everybody have whatever they wanted, we'd have contradictions, wouldn't we? We wouldn't be able to run the world. We're not in harmony with each other. As conditioned souls, we're all selfish. Neither of these parents were thinking about the school. They were each thinking about their kid. Right? We're all very self-absorbed. Now, in the spiritual world, among pure devotees, everyone's desire can be fulfilled, even though they may appear to contradict each other because they all have Krishna at the center. They can all be fulfilled. But for the conditioned souls, it's impossible. And our thinking that Krishna should fulfill all of our desires exactly how we want, when we want, is thinking that God is my servant, isn't it? And that I know better how to be God. You know, I don't have God. I'm not Yogeshwar. I don't have that power, but he is. Just like sometimes people want a very rich or powerful friend so they can get influence through that person. So one may think, well, I'll be a very religious person, and that way I can dictate to God what to do. And then indirectly, I get a runaround. I can be God, right? The demons, they want to kill God and take over his position, like that Vrikasura wanted to use Lord Shiva's benediction to kill Lord Shiva and take away his wife. So that's the demons. But religious people often just want to do this in a more clever way. You know, let me become a devotee of God, and then I'll have him wrapped around my little finger, and whatever I want, he'll do. And there's a lot of impersonalists who think this way also, this whole, you know, manifestation thing, where, you know, I want to be in touch with the universe so that whatever I want will be manifest. I just sit down and I think, red sports car, and I open my eyes and there it is. You know? So this is so it's not that Krishna is going to fulfill all the desires of the conditioned soul exactly the way and they want, and exactly when they want, and exactly how they want. He does fulfill all of the desires of the conditioned souls. Eko bahunam yovadadati kama. But it's not quite how we envision, and when and in what way that we envision. But still, Krishna is responsive. He is fulfilling all the desires of the conditioned soul. Maybe it'll be another lifetime. Maybe it'll be in another way. And often when we get those desires fulfilled, we're like, why did I want this? And he's certainly fulfilling all the desires of the liberated souls because they're not selfish, they're not harmful, and they're not in conflict. So he is responsive. It does matter. And whenever we ask him for something that he already wants us to ask for, of course he fulfills that. Does that make sense to everybody? Like Krishna wants to restore our loving relationship with him. He wants that. He actually wants that more than we do. Any of you who are parents, you know that you want a loving relationship with your child generally more than they do. It's just the way it is. So if we're praying, Krishna, I want my loving relationship with you to be restored, I want to serve you, he'll do anything to fulfill that. That's what he wants you to ask for. Does that make sense? He's like, I've been waiting for you to ask for this. It's like if you go to a teacher and say, please help me to be successful in your class. You know, all good teachers will go, wow, that's the kind of student that I was waiting for. Right? If a student comes and says, hey, you know, can you just give me an A without having to do the work? But if the student comes and goes, I really want to understand this. I really want to learn this. I'm really interested. So Krishna is responsive. You know, I really want to serve my guru. I really want to serve the devotees. I really want to serve your mission. I really want to help conditioned souls to come to your lotus feet. Krishna's like, yes, I will help you with that. And he does change his plans. He does change what he's doing in response to the devotees. Krishna has his mind, follows the mind of the devotees. The wheel of his mind, his mana chakra, it turns to the desires of his devotees. He even fulfills the desires of the demons, what to speak of to the devotees. Now, the devotees have their mind turned to fulfill Krishna's desires. It's reciprocal. When we think of any loving relationship in this world, isn't that what we do? Yes? If there's a loving spouses, the wife turns her mind to please the husband, and the husband turns his mind to please the wife. Yes? Otherwise, it's not going to be a loving marriage for very long. And, you know, you want the minds to turn in sync, but they're also responding to one another as individuals. So can you think of some instances where a devotee in the Shastra, where a devotee turned their mind to fulfill the desire of the Lord. Hmm? Arjuna. He's like, I don't want to fight. Did Arjuna want to kill Bhishma? No way. Not at all. Did he want Drona to die? Absolutely not. Honestly, he didn't even want Dhritarashtra's sons to die. He felt affection for Gandhari, particularly, and to some extent even for Dhritarashtra. They helped raise him. His father died. He felt some, I don't know if he felt so much affection for Duryodhana and Dushasana, but at least he felt affection for their parents. And he fought. He turned his mind, his manachakra, he turned his mind to Krishna. Priyavrata. Priyavrata didn't want to rule. He was a renunciate. He was fine. He didn't get married and rule the world because he had a desire himself to do that. He did that because the Lord asked him. Hey, I want you to do this. Okay, for you. Yes, Dhruva didn't want, once Dhruva saw the Lord, he's like, forget about what I asked you before. I don't want it anymore. And the Lord said, well, sorry, that's what I want you to do. He said, I want rulers who are pure devotees. It was the same with Priyavrata. I want rulers. Same with Arjuna, very similar. I want rulers who are pure devotees. I want you to do this. I was thinking about when Krishna enters Mathura and Akura, right, Kura brings him and he says, I want you to come to my house. And Krishna says, not now. Because I have to, kill Kamsa first. Then I can, so Akura accepts it. He doesn't want to. He wants Krishna to come to his house right then, but he accepts it. The gopis mood throughout, They don't always accept it happily. Sometimes they like really fall on the ground and faint. Ooh. The devotees accepting Mahaprabhu's sannyas. Yes. Nobody wanted him to take sannyas. I mean, after the barber cut his hair, he said, I'm never going to cut anyone's hair again. Let's speak of Vishnu Priya accepting. There's that whole talk, I think it's in the Chaitanya Mangala, or Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's not in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there's a whole conversation between Vishnu Priya and Mahaprabhu. Even when Mahaprabhu wants to go on tour, when he wants to leave Jagannath Puri and go on tour, and he keeps begging, I want to go. No, well, wait till we have we have the Doli Yatra festival coming up. Would you stay for that? And, then there's Chatra, and then there's this, and would you stay for this, and would you stay for this? And he's like, I really want to go. And they say, all right, you can go, take somebody with you. And Gadadhar Pandit, Gadadhar Pandit, when he finally went back. Saying also when Lord Ramachandra sends out his brothers, and Prabhupada says that the Lord didn't want the devotees just enjoying sense gratification in the capital. He wanted them to go out and conquer. So one reason that Krishna modifies his behavior and his thinking for the devotees, particularly, is that the devotees modify their thinking and behavior for him. It's reciprocal. And it's not just that we're robots. I am going to just do whatever Krishna wants. I have no desires. And nor are our prayers to the Lord just robotic. Vande groceries. We're trying to be aware of what Krishna wants us to do and modify our lives and our thinking accordingly. And we talk to Krishna with the conviction that he's genuinely interested in what we want and what we have to say, and that he will also modify his mind and his behavior. that it's a relationship. And it's a relationship of love. It's not a merchant relationship. It's not, okay, Krishna, I'll do this and this and this. People bargain like that with God, don't they? Well, I'll do these things if you'll do this for me. But Krishna says to the gopis that a bargaining relationship, there's no friendship, there's no dharma, there's no love. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something where we as an individual and the Lord as an individual, we try to become sensitive. I mean, here the Lord's obviously, as Yogeshwar, he's obviously aware of what the women are saying. But that we try to become sensitive. What is Krishna saying? What is Krishna saying in the Shastra? What is Krishna saying through Guru? What is Krishna saying through the Vaishnavas? What is Krishna saying through nature? Prabhupada says the laws of nature are the laws of God. What's Krishna telling me according to, my age, my health, my disposition? It's the laws of nature, the weather. What is Krishna telling me? And to have this conviction that when I'm chanting my japa, when I'm chanting in kirtan, when I'm saying these prayers, I'm not just doing something mechanical. It's not a ritual. But I'm actually talking to a person who is interested in what I have to say and who is willing and open to modify his own behavior according to what I want and who I am. So that is our challenge. If anyone has any, we have maybe a minute if anyone has a comment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Prabhupada not wanting to take sannyas, he said his guru dragged him, and Prabhupada coming to the West. But we also see that Krishna reciprocated with Prabhupada's desire. Prabhupada talked about the Krishna Balaram temple. He said, because a devotee wanted a temple here, therefore Krishna manifested. So we see both of this. Thank you. That was beautiful. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Enam Kanbandha Maravindadalaya Tatam Bhagavatam Shamasitam Buddhasundaram Tandar Bhako Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Andani Yasta Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyam Viva Vikayanti Gira Praganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusha Namaha Bhajami Govinda Adipurusha Namaha Bhajami Govinda Namaha Bhajami Adipurusha Namaha Bhajami Govinda
Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Samyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jagadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jai Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Rama. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram Rama Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Nittagor Haribo, 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 Nittagor Haribo, 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 Nittagora Haribo, 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 Nittagor Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe. Radha Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe. Golokananda Radha. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Gaura Premanandi Haribo. Jaya Om Shri Pad Jaya Jaya Shri Mad. Here we go, Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mayapur Dham Ki, Navadvip Dham Ki, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Jamuna Maya Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Bhakta Devi Ki, Shishi Radha Golokananda Ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to all glories. All glories, all glories. Sorry. Vinyadu Divanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pravitamam Pravitanam Arvatma Snapanam Paramijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakvipa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Midvishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinada Visunichena Torora Pisuhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadish Kamae Mama Janmani Janmani Ishre Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pankajas Tita Duli Sadrishim Vachintaya Nayanam Galata Shudaraya Varanam Gadgada Radaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahame Vishiti Yuga Yatam Namishena Chakshusha Praveshatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Aslishyava Padamatam Anastumam Adarshanam Mamra Totoro Kiva. Yata Tata Babindatolam Bato Mat Pranana Tastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. Peace is the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to easily approach all of it. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to in such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Oh, Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Oh, Son of Maharajnanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?